What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Blank Online here today to chat with you more about some Call of Duty Warzone and its integration with Black Ops Cold War. Now, we all know that this is coming with the launch of Season 1, and there's been some breaking news as a result of an Activision blog post, and now we know exactly how the two games will integrate together. Now, it's not as crazy as I think a lot of people thought, and myself included. I think a lot of people and myself thought that we're going to get this big event in Warzone Modern Warfare that will lead into a new story for Cold War Warzone, and I don't necessarily think that's the case. I'll explain later, but we're getting pretty much the same game. As a result of Season 1's launch, we know that this is all coming, and we did get a trailer that sort of depicts a somewhat storyline for Cold War post, obviously, the campaign, and a storyline that will sort of continue on through season on season. Now, I will let you guys watch the trailer. It is in the link in the description down below. I don't want to play it here just in case I get copyright striked, but if you guys do want to watch it and you haven't watched it yet, make sure you go ahead and do so after the video, of course. But it'll be linked in the description down below if you guys want to watch that. So that trailer sort of depicts some sort of story that's happening in Cold War. Assumedly, this will carry over to Warzone, much like Modern Warfare's did, or I don't know. I don't know how this is all going to work, because obviously Warzone and Cold War are being set in two different timelines. They're in very different sets of periods. I don't necessarily know how the stories will work. We don't really get much details in terms of storyline here in the blog post, and how story will continue and all this sort of stuff, and all these little nits and bits and details. We didn't really get that. But we mainly got details in terms of how weapons will work, how modes will work, how different things like progression and all this sort of stuff will work. So we'll get more into that right now, and I'll sort of talk about my thoughts on it and everything like that later. We did get images on how the menus will look and all that sort of stuff. So as the video goes on, I will be showing you guys the images of the menus and the gunsmith and Warzone now and all that sort of stuff. So let's get into how the weapons will integrate. Obviously, Cold War has a bunch of new weapons for us, so every single one of those weapons will be integrated and brought over into Warzone, much like we all thought it to be. So this will also include tuning for those weapons in accordance to the weapons in Warzone already. So the Warzone's weapons, so the Modern Warfare weapons essentially, will be balanced with the Cold War weapons. The balancing in the Warzone version of those weapons will be different, assumedly, to the balancing of the weapons in Cold War. If you guys don't know already, there is a team of Infinity Ward, Raven, and Treyarch developers that are independent to Modern Warfare and Cold War that specifically work on weapon balancing and tuning weapons for Warzone with these two different sets of weapons there. Now, again, we don't know the specifics and we don't know how it's going to work with two different AK-47s in there, but it's going to be interesting to see how that all works, whether or not the Cold War AK-47 is any better than the Warzone AK-47. We're just going to have to sort of wait and see, and as well as that, all of your attachments will be moving on from Cold War into Warzone. So assumedly, when you're using the Cold War AK-47, you can only use the Cold War attachments on that AK-47. Same thing works with the Modern Warfare AK-47, only using the attachments on that weapon. And again, it's going to be interesting to see how these different weapons get balanced, because what if the attachments and the effects that those attachments have on the Modern Warfare weapons are greater than the ones on the Cold War weapons, because there are more attachments in Modern Warfare than there are in Cold War. So again, gonna be interesting to see how they balance that there. But as a result of Season 1 launching, we're going to be getting all of those weapons that you know and love from Cold War here into Warzone. Same thing with your blueprints as well. Same thing with your attachments. So that's going to be cool. All that cross progression stuff is going to still go on. So if, say for example, you haven't fully maxed out a gun yet in Cold War, when you use it in Warzone, that will count towards your weapon level, not only in Warzone but also in Cold War normal itself. I also want to note, as a result of a recent patch, there has been tiles added to Cold War. So now there's a Cold War tile, there's a Warzone tile, and there's a Modern Warfare tile, further sort of pushing that idea that all three games are connected in some way, shape, or form. And I think this is going to be the way that Call of Duty goes on from here, like sort of moving on, rather than all the games being separately, every single game being somewhat connected through Warzone as its medium. And I think that's the way it's going to go on. Moving on from weapons, moving on to operators. So basically, operators from Cold War are launching and moving into Warzone. There's going to be 2 free meal sims now, and then more operators as well. So all of the skin packs and all that sort of stuff, all the bundles that you got from Warzone and Modern Warfare, obviously is going to carry over here. You can still use them, and all the stuff you buy for the Black Ops Cold War bundles and all that sort of stuff will move on to Warzone here, and you can use it on there. Basically just adding the amount of operators here in Cold War. I think there's going to be somewhat like 50 plus new and unique operators here in Cold War that's simultaneously adding to Warzone and all that sort of stuff. And as well as that, obviously they're going to add more operators into Warzone as the seasons progress and as time progresses through the store and bundles and that sort of stuff. So it's going to be, I mean, that's cool. It doesn't really mean anything to the game or anything like that. It just means that all your operators, basically all the money you spent before, will be transferred over here into Warzone, so don't need to worry about that. And basically all of the Cold War stuff, so like Woods and Park and all that sort of stuff, will be moving on to here into Warzone. Moving on from operators into progression. Now progression is going to be something that's going to be very, very different here in Warzone now that Cold War is launched, now that we have the prestige system and all that sort of stuff. So basically what's going to happen is there's going to be a new career tab in the Warzone menu. In that career tab is where you're basically going to track all your progress. So as soon as that new season drops, it's going to be a little different based on sort of where you are here in the game, and more specifically where you are in either Warzone, Modern Warfare, or Black Ops Cold War, because as a result of Season 1's launch and Warzone's integration with Black Ops Cold War, all your progression between Modern Warfare, Warzone, and Black Ops Cold War will be synced across. So all your military ranks, basically going from level 1 to level 55, will be sort of, I guess, simultaneous. I guess the best way to put it is across all 3 games. Once you reach level 55 and once you reach you finish your military ranks and you reach prestige 1, that will start your season level 1. Now your season level 1 is not going to be prestige 1 level 1 or prestige 4 level 1. The way that it's going to work is that it'll start where you left off. So say for example in Cold War you left off at prestige 2 level 57, you will start once again in season 1 at prestige 2 level 57 season level 1. So basically your this is me guessing at this point, but this is the way that I see this working, and this is the way that I interpret what's being said on the blog post. Basically, you will start once again at level 57 prestige 2. You will go from level 57 prestige 2 season level 1 all the way up to prestige level, what's it going to be at that point? We got 3, there's going to be 50, well, wait, sorry, I'm doing math in my head. 1 2 3 4 prestiges. So at that point it's going to be prestige levels 4 5 6 7, prestige level 7. So going from prestige 2 to prestige 7 in season 1 of Cold War Warzone. Once you do that, you're gonna be prestige 7 level 57, prestige 7 level 57 or whatever that may be. Basically you're just gonna keep progressing from where you were before. The game's not gonna make you restart at prestige 2 level 55. Oh sorry, prestige 2 level 50. It's not going to do that. It's going to start you again from wherever you just left off. So don't be worried if you're not finishing your prestige by the end of preseason. Basically you still have time to complete your prestiges and that sort of stuff. And obviously as a result of season 1 launching as well, we're going to get the unlocking of the prestige shop and what all of that entails. And that's also a tab here on the career tab. There's the prestige shop there. You can see the prestige keys are there, and you can see exactly what we get in that. So basically progression, career tab now, instead of having just career and your stats and that sort of stuff, you're gonna have your career and levels and what level you are and how you're progressing in those levels as well. So basically that's progression. Progression here in Warzone / Cold War is going to be a little bit tricky to understand. It's only going to be really easy to understand once we get our hands on it and we can actually see how it's working. But that's my interpretation of it, and I hope that sort of made sense. Let's move on to challenges. So say this is more for the Warzone side of things rather than Cold War side of things. As a result of Season 1's integration, if you do have leftover challenges in Warzone, those will continue on through to this new Cold War Warzone integration thing. So all of your mastery challenges, missions from prior seasons can still be completed in the challenges tab, as well as your daily challenges and all that sort of stuff. So if you still have challenges to complete, you will still be able to complete them. It's going to carry over. It's not going to stop. Let's move on. Barracks. So barracks is going to be different. So because career is different because of the progression based system, barracks is now changed. So barracks is basically just going to be where all your calling cards and emblems are going to be. Those will also be carried over from Cold War, so all of the stuff you've unlocked is going to come over to Warzone. Same thing with your gestures and your sprays, clans, regiment tags, all that sort of stuff. So basically all the customizable things, as well as leaderboards and records and commendations, will be in the barracks tab. Career tab is purely going to be based on your leveling and your progression system. And finally, let's talk about Battle Pass and Store. Season 1 will launch the first Battle Pass, 100 tiers for Cold War / Warzone, introducing 2 brand new weapons, of course some bundles, some skins, some calling cards, the basics, the usual stuff that we should expect here. Vehicle skins won't be in Cold War, and I don't think it won't be in Warzone either, basically because they don't have the same vehicles, if that makes sense. So like the tanks in Cold War are different to the tanks in Warzone. The helicopters in Cold War are different to the helicopters in Warzone. So vehicle skins will not carry over from Cold War to Warzone. That's the one thing, that's the one exception that won't do. Everything else will be shared across each individual game. Well, they're not technically individual games anymore, because Warzone is pretty much the umbrella that everything falls under now. Everything integrates with Warzone. The developers can make their own game, but in some way, shape, or form, it has to come over to Warzone. And also, just to finish off here, there is a tab in Warzone that's blanked out, and I'm pretty sure we all know what that is, and we're pretty sure that's Rebirth Island, which is Alcatraz. And we could essentially be seeing our own, like a version of Mini Royale, smaller map. That'd be pretty cool. But that's basically all I have for you guys today. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Comment down below, what do you think of how Warzone and Cold War are being integrated? Do you like the idea? Did you expect a little bit more like this myself? I don't know. Like, it's cool, but it's not hype, if you get what I mean. But I hope it's going to be really exciting as soon as Season 1 launches. Click subscribe if you're new here so you don't miss out on my next video, and follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/blankonline, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Down, lost my friends, but I got more M's. By myself in a brand new bounce. Hardly recognize myself in these brand new lamps. Brand new pants, bigger pockets, brand new bands. On my neck, these diamonds dance. When I'm shopping, wear a vest and wear no vest.